I spent 15 years inside Area 51. What I discovered below Level 7 is bone-chilling. The sun dipped low over the Nevada desert, casting long, eerie shadows across the near-impenetrable walls of Area 51. No matter where you stood, there was a sense of foreboding, as if the very winds whispered secrets held only by the dead. Here, beneath the surface, lay mysteries so deep, so twisted, that even the strongest minds trembled at the thought. Locked away within the bowels of this facility was a truth that would make anyone bat an eye. 15 years I spent there, a witness to the unimaginable. Sleek metal doors hummed with an ominous energy. The moment you stepped into the complex, it was like entering another world. The air was thick with the scent of machinery, and the hum of whispers between scientists. Crazy, disfigured creatures in sterile glass cages stared back with desperate, knowing eyes, their wails echoing in the silence that followed each heart-stopping experiment. You could almost hear the heavy breathing of agents stationed nearby, hoping no one would ever know. As I descended deeper, each level revealed more horrifying secrets. Level 7 was where the real nightmares began. There was talk of alien technology, something that could manipulate time, bend reality, and alter the course of existence as we knew it. I remember the day one of the physicists, twitching with paranoia, slipped me a file. It contained shocking photographs, terrifying, writhing machines, glimmering lights that danced like fireflies in the dark, and things that weren't even human. My heart raced, sweat dripping down my back. How much more could this place hide? Panic tightened in my chest. I felt eyes on me, a tingling sensation skimming over my skin. Shadows moved, tantalizingly close to the edge of my vision. The walls seemed to whisper back at me, pulsing with energy. My instincts screamed to run, but my feet remained rooted to the ground, caught in the dizzying allure of discovery. What lay just beyond the glass doors? What could they be hiding? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As I stood there, contemplating the chaotic, electric silence, the lights flickered violently, plunging everything into darkness. My breath quickened, my body taut with fear and anticipation. What was happening? A voice came over the intercom, shaky yet urgent. We need to evacuate the lab immediately. A loud bang echoed in the distance, rattling the very foundations of my world. What had I just stumbled upon? What dangers lurked in the shadows? There was no escape now. My story was just beginning, and the abyss waiting below Level 7 was calling my name. Out of the abyss of darkness, chaos erupted. Alarms blared, shrieking like banshees in the night. Red lights pulsed, sending frenzied shadows darting across the walls. I felt my heart pounding in my chest like a war drum, a rhythm of pure adrenaline. Adrenaline was my only friend now, propelling me forward despite the panic and dread clawing at my insides. I tore past the glass cages, each creature as desperate screech clawing at my sanity. I could see the terror in their eyes, the longing for freedom, elements of a twisted experiment etched into their very being. But there was no time for sympathy now. I had to survive. My feet took me deeper into the belly of this nightmare, seeking an exit I feared didn't exist. The intercom crackled once more. This is not a drill. Code red. Repeat, code red. My palms grew clammy around the edges of my clothes. Around me, scientists scrambled, faces pale with fear. In an instant, I was surrounded by the frantic energy of the place, a swirling vortex of confusion. Then, I caught a glimpse. Just ahead, two figures in dark suits stood near a massive vault door that pulsed ominously. They seemed unfazed by the chaos around them, their eyes locked on me, filled with something not quite human. My gut twisted. Were these agents? Or were they the very monsters we feared? Danger radiated off them like heat. In a flash, they turned, and one of them reached for me with a hand that was too steady under the circumstances. I ducked, adrenaline taking over. I didn't have time to think about who to trust. Only an instinct for survival drove me forward. I turned on my heels and ran, no destination in mind, just the overwhelming need to escape whatever lay behind me. As I sprinted, the walls felt like they were closing in. I noticed the faint sound of something skittering just out of sight. My heart raced faster. Was it another experiment like the ones I had glimpsed? My mind spiraled with horror, and then I tripped. My foot snagged on a metal pipe that jutted out from the floor. I crashed hard, the air escaping my lungs. In that moment, it was as if time slowed. I felt the dust from the ground envelop me, a stark reminder of vulnerability. Panic surged through me. I couldn't stay here. Gasping, I pushed myself back up and glanced back. No one was behind me. Silence had swallowed the chaos. But that silence rang hollow and strangely threatening. I felt the heavy gaze of something unseen. Was it just my fear, or was something lurking in the shadows? Moving cautiously, I pressed on. Each step echoed, and I strained to listen for any sign of life, any voice, any crackle of movement. The air was thick, every breath feeling like poison, each moment dragging on for an eternity. Then, out of the darkness, the flickering light above revealed a figure stumbling out of the shadows, one I recognized. My heart leapt, but confusion flooded me. It was Dr. Simmons, the physicist who had first slipped me the terrifying file. His eyes were wild, and he looked worse than I had ever seen him. "They're coming," he whispered, his voice shaky. "We need to go, now." Before I could respond, he abruptly turned, dashing down a hallway that seemed to extend indefinitely into the unknown. I paused only a moment, breathless but desperate for an ally in this nightmare. What had he seen? What did he know? I ran after him, ready for whatever horrors the depths of level 7 had in store. But as I rounded the corner, a deafening crash roared from behind the vault door, slamming shut. My heart dropped. There was no turning back now. What awaited us in the heart of Area 51? Just how deep did the darkness go? And who, or what, might lie in wait among the shadows? The answers loomed ahead, but there was no turning back now. The chase was far from over. The fluorescent lights flickered ominously as I sprinted after Dr. Simmons, every pounding step echoing in the tight corridor. My breath came in sharp gasps, the air thick and musty, like it hadn't seen sunlight in years. I could hear the distant clanging of alarms, and the muffled shouts of panicked personnel behind me. The vault door had cut off my escape route, trapping me within these nightmarish halls. "What are we running from?" I shouted, desperation tightening my throat. My legs screamed for a break, but the terror in Simmons' eyes propelled me forward. He glanced back, his face pale and drawn. "The experiments they've escaped. We're not alone." A chill raced down my spine. I remembered the terrified faces of the creatures I had passed earlier. What horrors had been unleashed? My mind spun with images of twisted forms, unnatural hybrids, and the secrets buried in this desolate labyrinth. We veered left down the next corridor, dimly lit by flickering lights that cast unsettling shadows. The walls seemed to whisper secrets of their own, but there was no time to linger. I had to focus on Simmons and the single thread of hope he represented. Suddenly, we heard a low growl that reverberated off the walls. I froze, the sound curling my stomach into knots. The growl crescendoed into a chilling howl, sending a wave of dread crashing over me. It was close, too close. "Keep moving," Simmons urged, fear etched into every line of his face. We pushed forward, adrenaline blinding us to everything except the immediate need to survive. Just as we rounded another bend, a shadow lunged at us from a dark alcove. I barely had time to scream before it collided with Simmons. A hulking figure slammed him against the wall, pitting him with a sickening crunch. I gasped, a whimper escaping my lips. "Run!" he shouted, a wild intensity in his eyes, even through the pain. "Get to lift 42. It's our only way out." I hesitated, torn between fleeing and helping him. But the creature, a grotesque hybrid of man and beast, released a chilling roar, its jagged teeth glistening like knives in the dim light. I stumbled back, cold terror flooding my veins. I turned and sprinted, heart hammering in my chest. Each step away from him pierced my conscience, but there was no time to dwell on choices. I had to trust that Simmons would either fight back or find a way to escape. The growling echoed behind me, the sound of claws scraping against metal growing closer. I pushed forward, desperation fueling my speed. With every heartbeat, the thought of what was hunting me pulled at my resolve. I could feel its breath just behind me, hot and stinking of decay. Frantically, I rounded another corner, praying to find lift doors ahead, a lifeline in this hell. To my relief, there was a set of stark silver doors marked 42. I barreled into them with everything I had. Slamming the button, I glanced back. A shadow loomed at the end of the hall, slowly emerging from the darkness. Who or what had been unleashed? The doors slid shut with a metallic clang, sealing me inside. My breath shook, ragged and shallow. The lift jolted upwards, but my mind was a whirlwind of confusion. Dr. Simmons, what would happen to him? Was he still fighting? Had he made it? As the lift ascended, I caught myself in the reflection of the slick metal walls. The panic in my eyes mirrored the wild chaos enveloping me. My chest tightened with guilt, wishing desperately for answers I didn't have. Then, just when I thought I could breathe, the lift came to an abrupt stop. The lights blinked out, plunging me into darkness. My heart raced. What now? Had I escaped one nightmare only to fall into another? Just then, a soft sliding sound echoed from the darkness ahead. "Hello?" I whispered, the word barely crawling out. I strained to listen, fear pinching my throat. "I've been waiting for you." The voice sent a jolt of ice through my veins. I wasn't alone, not anymore. What awaited me in that suffocating darkness? And who had been waiting? I was about to find out just how deep the betrayal ran. The darkness pressed against me like a weight, thick and suffocating. I could barely breathe, every inhale tasting stale, as if I'd stepped into a tomb. My heart beat loudly in my ears, drowning out the whispered menace that lingered in the space. I strained forward, trying to make sense of shadows that danced just beyond my peripheral vision. "Who was there?" I asked, my voice quavering. No answer came, but the air grew colder, an unsettling silence wrapping around me like a shroud. The sliding sound echoed again, unnervingly close this time. "You shouldn't have run," the voice said, a smooth blend of menace and allure. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but panic locked my feet to the floor. "I see you, just as you see me." Desperation clawed at my mind. "Who are you?" I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. "What do you want?" A figure stepped forward from the shadows, a silhouette against the faint glimmering lights. My breath caught in my throat. It was a person, no, it was more than that. Its skin shimmered under the weak light, almost liquid-like, shifting as it moved. The eyes glowed, two unsettling orbs piercing through the darkness. "Ah, sweet little one, you really have no idea," it hissed, each word dripping with mockery. "They've given you a role, but you're a pawn in a game much larger than you can comprehend. Did you think you could escape?" My pulse thundered in my ears. It was right, Simmons was still down there, likely facing the horror that had attacked him. And here I was, paralyzed by fear, confronted by whatever nightmare haunted these walls. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded, forcing the tremor from my voice. "What do you want with me?" The creature smiled, a grotesque curving of its lips. "To show you the truth. You have been blind for so long, haven't you? So many secrets, buried." It paused, letting the ominous silence wrap around us again. I could feel the hairs on my arms stand on end. "I will help you see." I stepped back, every instinct flaring to fight or flee. What is that supposed to mean? My challenge held little bite. I felt small against it. A low laugh rumbled from the creature. "The world outside, it's nothing but a facade. What you think you know about humanity, about this place, is merely the surface." Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life. They were weak, pulsing like a dying heartbeat, but enough to reveal more of the grotesque creature before me. I could see the lines of its form, the edges blending with shadows, shifting and writhing as if it were still adjusting to the light. "Join me, and I can show you the depths of what they've hidden from you." It beckoned, extending a hand. "We can be free of their chains. They fear us, you know." I hesitated, caught in the sharp tug of curiosity and the instinct to run away. "What is down here? What have you seen?" "Beyond these walls lies truth, power, secrets that could undo everything you believe." The creature took a step closer, its glow intensifying. "But I need you to promise to trust me." "Trust?" The word echoed in my mind, heavy with weight. Before I could answer, a jarring sound shattered our standoff. The lift jolted violently, rattling as if it were about to give in entirely. The wall shook, and a siren blared throughout the space, piercing the silence like a knife. "We don't have time," the creature shrieked, urgency rippling through its voice. "We either go now, or we're trapped." Panic surged anew, breaking through my hesitation. "Go where?" I shouted above the wailing alarms. "Follow me. The only way out is through the truth." It pointed toward a narrow corridor that branched off to the right, dark but promising. I hesitated just a moment longer, my heart at war with my mind. Could I trust this horror? The lift groaned ominously, echoing my uncertainty. "Now!" it bellowed, desperation fueling its command. With no other choice, I sprinted toward the corridor, fear pounding against my chest. The path grew darker, and I could hear the footsteps of something chasing me. But who really was the monster? As I raced down the dim passage, I wondered, would I find freedom, or merely deeper horrors waiting for me in the dark? The beast's voice trailed behind me, teasing and urging. "Let the truth set you free." What awaited me at the end of the corridor? Was I walking into a deeper nightmare, or would I finally unveil the chilling reality? The corridor loomed ahead, thick and swallowed in shadow. I felt the air shift, prickling over my skin like 1,000 needles. There was no going back. The wall seemed to close in as I ran, a living labyrinth, alive with secrets desperate to be unleashed. "Faster!" The creature's voice shrieked behind me, an echo of panic. "They're coming!" In that heartbeat, the dread surged. I didn't know what haunted these corridors, but the urgency drummed relentlessly in my veins. I glanced over my shoulder, catching a glimpse of movement in the dark, a shifting, sinister form that slipped in and out of the dim light like smoke. My pulse raced. I pressed on, feet pounding against the cold floor. I had to know what lay ahead. Time slowed, the shadows stretching around me as I barreled deeper into the unknown. A thin line of light broke through the dark, flickering like a hope just out of reach. "Here!" The creature's fingers pointed toward an open doorway, barely illuminated. I shot toward it, heart hammering. "You'll see," it crooned, "just a little further." I crossed the threshold and stumbled into what appeared to be a massive chamber, tech consoles humming with an eerie life, strange symbols lighting up the walls. My breath caught as horror clashed with amazement. This was no ordinary underground space. It felt like the heart of a monstrous world I had no right to explore. "Welcome to the pit of reality," the creature declared, stepping into the room beside me. "This is where the truth lies, hidden from those who can't bear its weight." I glanced around, mouth agape. Monitors flickered with images I couldn't comprehend, glimpses of experiments, faces twisted in fear, silhouettes of beings unlike anything I had seen before. "What is this?" I breathed, unnerved by the sight. "Everything you've been fed is a lie." It moved closer, the bioluminescent sheen of its skin casting an unearthly glow. "This is the edge of their world, the truth behind the curtains of your reality." I tried to make sense of the chaos displayed before me, my mind racing with questions, but before I could articulate even one, the room darkened suddenly. Alarms blared again, a relentless crescendo of warning signals. "No!" the creature hissed, panic rippling through its form. "We don't have time. They've found us." Fear gripped my throat as I spun around. The exit. I started toward it, but the air charged, crackling with an unseen threat. A sudden crash echoed behind me, and I felt the tremors rumble through the floor. I turned back to find the walls, once sleek and ominous, now covered in pulsing, dark veins, oozing a thick mist that crept toward us. "The truth can't be contained," the creature yelled, voice laced with desperation. "They'll do anything to keep you," but the words were drowned out by the sound of heavy footfalls, each one resonating like thunder as they echoed closer. There was no mistaking it now, whatever hunted us was relentless. "Run!" I shouted, adrenaline flooding my veins anew. I lunged for the door, the darkness snapping at my heels. My fear coiled tightly in my chest, the creature's urgency propelling me forward. Just as I reached the threshold, I felt something brush against my arm, a cold grip that stopped my momentum. "Wait!" it cried, clawing at the air. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I dashed into the corridor, heart racing high as dread sank deeper. The sound of chaos erupted behind me, voices, orders, the hum of machines. The walls closed in, but I pressed on, desperate to escape whatever horrors lingered just behind me. I could feel it, that choking fear like a thick fog, wrapping around my throat. What have I uncovered? Was I tangled in a web far beyond my understanding? Then a thought pierced through. If I was at the center, the truth could set me free, or condemn me. As the corridor twisted and turned, I found myself facing a fork. Left or right? Each path teased the dark, whispering promises and dangers alike. "Choose!" the creature cried out from behind, the echo growing faint. "Which way?" I shouted, the walls vibrating under the weight of unease, and then the choice loomed large in front of me, thicker than the darkness itself. What lay down either path? A chance at revelation, or further entanglement in that web of nightmare? With a deep breath, I steadied myself as the walls seemed to pulse around me, urging for my decision. Could I summon the courage to summon the truth, or would my next step seal my fate? I took a half-step left, then halted, paralyzed by uncertainty. The creature's desperate voice faded further, swallowed by the creeping shadows. The corridor loomed before me like a gaping maw, hungry for whatever courage I could muster. With a glimmer of resolve, I darted right, plunging into the dimly lit passageway. The air grew heavier with each step, a palpable weight pressing down on me. The walls pulsed rhythmically, almost as if they were alive, whispering secrets lost to the world above. My breath quickened as I caught sight of flickering lights ahead, urging me to push on. Suddenly, a distant howl echoed, chilling me to the bone. It sliced through the chaotic hum of the lab behind me, a haunting reminder that I was being hunted. My heart raced like a wild drum, but I couldn't falter. I had chosen this path. There was no turning back now. I sprinted toward the light, desperate for salvation. As I rounded a corner, I caught a glimpse of a room bathed in an otherworldly glow. Shadows twisted and danced across the walls, their movements taunting me. I hesitated, unsure of what lay within. Was it safety or another trap designed to ensnare me? Without wasting another moment, I stepped inside. The pulsating glow intensified, illuminating strange machines and glass cabinets filled with bizarre artifacts. Skeletons of creatures not of this world stared back at me, their hollow eyes unblinking. Panic bubbled up in my throat, a tight knot of dread that threatened to choke me. What the hell is this place? I muttered to myself, combining awe with sheer terror. I felt I was teetering on the edge of insanity, glimpsing the remnants of things that couldn't exist. Suddenly, from the corner of my eye, I noticed movement, a flicker of light. Before I could turn away, the figure emerged from the shadows, a tall silhouette cloaked in darkness. My breath caught in my throat. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer. The figure stepped closer, eyes glinting like shards of ice. "I am a guardian of knowledge," it said, voice smooth yet filled with an unsettling resonance. "But knowledge has its costs." Costs? My heart pounded louder, drowning out the unsettling echoes in the room. I could feel the temperature drop, an icy chill wrapping around my body. Yes, truths hidden beneath layers of deception. You must decide if you are ready to pay. The figure glided toward a console, fingers dancing across screens filled with cryptic symbols that sparked with electricity. I was caught between dread and curiosity. The urge to know was almost unbearable. "Why should I trust you?" I shouted, my voice reverberating against the cold walls. "For all I know, you could be one of them." It smiled softly, an unsettling sight against its shadowy presence. "I was once like you, an unwilling pawn in a game far beyond our reckoning. But I escaped. Now I offer you a chance. A chance to know the truth." Questions swarmed in my mind, each one more pressing than the last. Was the truth worth the risk? Could I descend deeper into this madness without losing myself entirely? A deafening boom echoed from the corridor, and the walls trembled again, a reminder that time was running out. The guardians and hunters were closing in. I had to decide now. "Choose wisely," the figure urged, glancing toward the door where the shadows gathered like thick smoke. "Are you ready to unveil the truth, or will you run from it, letting your fear define you?" I felt the pull of the unknown tugging at my soul. Would I step into the abyss for answers that could shatter my reality? In that moment, everything I thought I knew hung in the balance, waiting for my choice to embrace the truth or remain lost in ignorance. I took a deep breath, steeling myself, and just as I opened my mouth to speak, the ground shook violently underfoot, propelling me down a new path I never anticipated. What awaited me on the other side of that door? Would I emerge with the knowledge to save myself, or plunge deeper into a nightmare I could never escape? The walls quaked with a ferocity that threatened to swallow me whole. Each rumble sent shockwaves through my body, my heart pounding like a war drum against my ribcage. I felt the floor beneath me shifting, a living entity trying to reject my presence. Panic clawed at my throat, making it harder to breathe. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath me, and I fell through a darkness that swallowed all light. The sensation of weightlessness twisted my stomach into knots. As I plummeted, I struck against something hard, my body collapsing into a heap. Pain shot through me, but I couldn't linger there. A chilling wind rushed over my skin, and I forced myself to my feet, heart racing. In front of me, a long corridor stretched into the unknown, illuminated by intermittent, flickering lights. I was in an underground chamber, one drenched in the sinister ambience of secrets best left buried. The air felt thick and electric, the very atmosphere crackling with the weight of hidden knowledge. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was no longer alone. Whispers danced on the edge of my hearing, tongue-tied secrets slipping from the shadows, echoing in my mind. I stepped into the corridor, every instinct screaming for me to turn back, yet propelled forward by an unyielding curiosity. Then I saw them. shadows moving at the periphery of my sight. I spun, adrenaline surging, but nothing was there. Just my imagination playing tricks on me, or so I hoped. As I ventured deeper, the signs of previous tormented souls haunted my eyes. Scorch marks on the walls, remnants of equipment scattered like discarded thoughts. What horrors had happened here? The inevitable gnawing thought crept into my mind. What had I stumbled into? Suddenly, the flickering lights above me stabilized, revealing intricate symbols etched into the walls, a language I didn't understand, but it sent jolts of dread through my veins. My pulse quickened when I noticed the symbols beginning to glow, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. I pressed on, driven by the fear of the darkness that hunted me. The air grew colder, every breath hanging in the stale atmosphere like a ghost seeking warmth. And then I saw it, a door, warped and ancient, standing at the end of the corridor. A sense of foreboding washed over me. It beckoned, promising answers while shrouding its intentions in shadows. "What lies behind you?" I murmured, swallowing hard. Whatever was on the other side held the power to unearth truths buried deep within the abyss of experience. But was I ready to face it? Before I could reach for the cracked handle, the ground trembled again, louder this time, a clear warning. The echoes of footsteps thundered from the direction I had come. Someone or something was chasing me. Fingers trembling, I grasped the handle and threw the door open. Instantly my senses were assaulted by a blinding light. And in that moment, everything crashed together like a storm. The cacophony of noises reached a fever pitch, drowning out my thoughts. I staggered forward, propelled by instincts I didn't fully understand. What did I get myself into? The light swallowed me whole, and I stepped through, heart racing, breath hitching what awaited me beyond the threshold. Would I find enlightenment or be consumed by a dread lurking just beyond human comprehension? The world exploded back into focus. I landed with a thud on a floor that pulsed beneath me. My eyes struggled to adjust to the brightness. Surreal shapes and shadows danced around like phantoms in an abandoned carnival. The light was both blinding and alive, buzzing with energy that vibrated through my bones. As I got to my feet, I realized I was in a vast chamber. Towering metal walls reached upwards. Graffiti scribbled by desperate hands covered every inch. My heart pounded in my ears, drowning out the whispers that had once haunted me. But they weren't gone. They were just muted, replaced by a deep humming that resonated through the air like a mournful song. Cautiously, I stepped forward, each footfall echoing in the cavernous space. I could see strange machines lining the walls, some pulsing with a faint glow, others dark and silent like tombstones. The air tasted metallic, and I could hardly breathe. A heavy dread settled deep in my stomach. Suddenly, a jagged crackle split the air. I turned, and there it was, a shimmering portal, raw energy vibrating around its edges, twisting and writhing like a serpent. My heart sank. Had I stumbled into something meant to be hidden? My curiosity urged me forward, trapped in a web of terror and intrigue. Before I could process what I was doing, I reached out towards the portal, fingers trembling. Instantly, images flooded my mind. Horrific scenes flashed before me, experiments gone wrong. Shadowy figures working tirelessly under harsh fluorescent lights. Screams swallowed by the sterile walls. Memories not my own clawed their way to the surface, dragging me into the depths of a nightmare. The humming intensified, becoming a tsunami of sound crashing against my sanity. I tore my hand away, stepping back in horror, breathing heavily, gasping for air. Whatever was behind that portal was not just a window to another world. It was a gateway to something more sinister. Something that could devour me whole. Just then, a noise sliced through my panic. It was faint, but unmistakable, the fluttering of wings. I spun around, searching for the source. The shadows at the far end of the chamber shifted as a massive form emerged. The silhouette was too large, too monstrous. Whatever it was, it had come from the same depths I had just fled from. The feeling of being hunted washed over me anew as terror gnawed at my well-being. The creature was horrifyingly beautiful, an amalgamation of darkness and light, its eyes glowing like sinister lanterns. It locked onto my gaze, and my blood turned to ice. The air seemed to thicken as it approached, each movement fluid yet menacing. A overriding instinct screamed for me to flee, to find shelter, but my feet felt glued to the ground, paralyzed by the dread wrapping around me. I blinked, and it was gone, a whisper of a shadow, slipping back into the darkness from which it came. My heart raced, breath coming in quick bursts. What was that thing? Moments later, whenever it had been searching for me, returned in the form of soft whispers wafting through the air. What were they saying? The echoes rattled in my mind, stirring old fears as my determination strengthened. I had to know the truth. What secrets had been hidden here, and why? Fighting against the looming shadows and chaos around me, I took a step toward the portal. Just then, my instincts kicked into overdrive. A distant rumbling echoed through the chamber, like thunder rolling across the sky. Danger was closing in. Time was slipping away as I felt the urge to dive into the portal again. Would I find what lay beyond the chaos and terrifying beauty, or was it better to stay in the uncomfortable familiarity of this echoing grave? The choice crackled in the air as electricity danced over my skin. With that question weighing heavily on my heart, I stood at the threshold. What lay beyond? What truths would I uncover, and would the price be more than I was prepared to pay? The rumbling drew closer, reverberating through the metal walls, shaking debris loose from the ceiling. My heart pounded, each beat a drumroll, propelling me toward a decision I was no longer certain I was ready to make. The portal shimmered like a mirage, whispering promises of answers and revelations that stirred a yearning deep within me, but there was danger lurking, nipping at my heels with every passing second. Instinct kicked in. As panic surged through my veins, I stumbled backward from the portal, my legs finally breaking free from their frozen state. The world around me twisted like a surreal nightmare. The whispers grew louder, an urgent cacophony clawing at sanity. "Over here, help us!" I clamped my hands over my ears, desperate for silence, but it was futile. Then, a blinding flash illuminated the chamber. I squinted, shielding my eyes with my arm. Whatever had lurked in the darkness reemerged, less shadow and more shape, a figure growing ever closer, flanked by the creatures I had glimpsed earlier. Winged beings moved gracefully, their long, dark limbs stretching beneath the glow of the lights. They were beautiful and grotesque all at once, their faces shifting as if pieced together from nightmares. "Go!" a voice rasped, pulling me back to the present. I spun around, searching for the source. A moment later, it hit me. A slight, frail figure stood by one of the machines, its eyes wide with terror. It was human, but nothing about it felt normal. "You have to get out of here. They know you're here." My instinct screamed at me to run. I quickly crossed the distance between us, adrenaline fueling my movements as I grabbed the figure's arm. "What is going on? Who are they? Don't you understand? You've entered the realm." The figure's breath quickened, panic spilling over. The whispers, "They are a warning. If you stay too long, they'll claim you." Without warning, the machine I had been leaning against began to hum violently. The metallic sound sliced through the air. A flicker of blue light danced across its surface, and I could feel something shifting below, something awakening. "Run!" The figure twisted free from my grip, darting toward a darkened hallway that branched off the chamber. The air felt electrified, and my body rebelled against the fight or flight instinct urging me to follow. I hesitated, torn between fearing the portal's unknown horrors and the looming threat of what I had just witnessed. Another flash lit the chamber, this time revealing the full form of the winged beasts I had seen earlier. Graceful yet deadly, they hovered closer, their eyes glinting maliciously. My heart thundered, a primal punch echoing in my chest. These weren't just guardians of a hidden realm. They were predators in a hunt. Please, come with me. It was the figure again, reaching back for me, desperation etched in its features. It moved in a way that was lithe and fluid, hopping effortlessly toward the dim hallway. But the winged creatures flared wide their wings, casting a long shadow over the chamber that felt suffocating. With a final glance at the pulsating portal, fear hit me like a wave. I had to make a choice, and quickly. I could either dive into the unknown, letting the allure of secrets consume me, or risk whatever evils resided within these creatures. I took a shaky step towards the only avenue open to me, the shadowy hallway. The whispers faded, but not the tension, every nerve in my body buzzing as I ran toward the frail figure. But as I plunged deeper into the darkness, a chilling realization dawned on me. Not everything wanted to stay hidden. What awaited at the end of the hall? Would I uncover truths that should have remained buried, or would this be the beginning of my end? The shadows loomed heavier around me as I raced down the narrow hallway, my heart pounding like a war drum. The corridor twisted endlessly, flanked by walls that seemed to move and breathe, alive with whispered secrets. I could hear the unforgiving sounds of pursuit echoing behind me. The winged creatures were not far off. Please, we have to hurry. The figure ahead called out, urgency lacing every word. It moved with an agility that belied its frail appearance, and I struggled to keep up, fighting against the panic clawing at the edges of my mind. Who are they? I gasped, my breaths coming faster, the air growing thicker. What do they want? They want to claim you. Anyone who dares to uncover their secrets is fair game. They'll trap you in this realm forever. The figure turned briefly, eyes wide with fear. If we don't reach the exit before they do, it will all be over. The darkened tunnel seemed to stretch for an eternity, shadows creeping closer with every second. I stumbled, fear tightening its grip around my heart. My instinct screamed at me to run faster, to escape the horrors relentlessly pursuing us. But the growing dread that we were running out of time created a lump in my throat. Suddenly, the corridor opened up into a vast chamber, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. My eyes widened at the sight. The walls loomed like ancient titans, covered in creeping vines and flickering lights. In the center stood a massive archway, pulsating with a soft, eerie glow, our possible salvation. Through there. The frail figure pointed towards the archway, urgency fueling their movements. That leads back above ground, but we'll need to act fast. The moment we crossed into the chamber, an inhuman shriek reverberated behind us. I felt the ground shudder, and the shadows behind us surged forward. The creatures were close, too close. Go! I shouted, pushing the figure ahead of me. My lungs burned. I had no time to hesitate, only the primal desire to escape fueled my every movement. As we dashed toward the archway, I could see the ethereal light beckoning. But it was at that moment I felt a cold breath on the back of my neck, the cries of the winged beasts echoing in my mind like a death knell. I turned, catching a glimpse of their twisted faces, malice dripping from their eyes. Faster! Screamed the figure beside me. With every ounce of strength, I surged forward, the light illuminating our path. As we neared the archway, I felt a surge of hope, but the moment was fleeting. A deafening roar erupted, drowning out reason, and a shadow engulfed the doorway. We have to jump through, I yelled, grabbing the figure's arm. Now! In one synchronized movement, we leaped just as the darkness surged toward us. The air crackled around us, and the world began to twist and spin. Brightness surrounded us, and I felt a sensation akin to being reborn, an unraveling of the past. And then it happened, everything went black. When my vision returned, I found myself sprawled on the ground, the warmth of the sun on my face, vibrant colors flashing in front of me. I gasped for breath, trembling with the weight of what I'd escaped. I blinked, looking around. We were back outside, in the Nevada desert. The familiar sight seemed surreal, bathed in a warm glow. Yet, as I pulled myself up, the horror still clawed at the edges of my consciousness. "Are we safe?" I whispered, looking at the figure that had guided me. It seemed different now, less frail, the glow around it fading slowly. "We've escaped their grasp, at least for now," it replied, a hint of sadness flickering in its voice. "But the truths we uncovered linger, and those creatures will not rest." A deep breath marked the moment of realization. The journey had changed me. I wasn't just a pawn anymore. I could unravel the web of deception that kept humanity blind. I had seen too much to turn back now. "Are you coming with me?" I asked, my heart swelling with hope but tinged with uncertainty. The spirit held my gaze, its eyes shimmering like distant stars. "I cannot. My journey lies within the shadows, but yours is brighter. Share what you have seen, or the cycle will repeat itself." Before I could respond, the figure began to fade, a shimmer of light drifting into the vast expanse above. Panic surged again, but I held tightly to the message it left behind. The truth had to be revealed, for the sake of those imprisoned in the dark. With renewed determination, I took one last glance back toward the entrance of Area 51, the weight of its secrets heavy on my shoulders. I would tell my story, no matter how painful it would be. It was time to sever the chains of fear and fight for the truth. And so, I began my journey, a quest to unveil the horrors, and unveil the unseen horrors lurking far beyond the veil. The world was a dark place, but from those shadows, I would bring forth the light. Did you feel that too? The intensity, the thrill? This is where the story ends, but the truth is just beginning. We can't leave this mystery unsolved. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second. Hit that like button now to show you're part of this adventure. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories. What do you think will happen next? Who else needs to know about the shocking betrayals of Area 51? Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this creepy conclusion. You have the power to spread the truth. Let us rise together.